And he walked in and I was streaming without a shirt on, and I was like, all right, dude, I know you don't know this. You probably didn't even think about it. I was like, you can't do that. It's like, I'll get like
Dude, Sharon
banned
does that
from
all the
I'll
time.
get banned from like Twitch.
I'll actually get banned.
It's like, please don't do that. Um,
There was that viral challenge that was going around. It was like show up to your partner's stream off screen naked and see how they react. It was fucking hilarious.
that is pretty funny, actually.
People are just dying.
Yeah, that is pretty funny. Um,
You get that wonderful look that's like halfway between "oh god you're hot" and panicking because
like,
they take one step.
You're like checking your OBS to make sure they're not in the frame or anything. You're like, you cannot pass this wall. If you walk past this line, I'm gonna get banned. Please don't do it.
Yeah.
That's when you change camera angles. And oopsie, they didn't know.
It'd be like, welcome everybody. Just facing this way now.
I have the wide angle lens on now.
Oh no, that's a bad idea. Bad idea. Oh man. You guys ready?
I think we're waiting on one more Jason. He should be here very soon though.
Yep, he's in the OBS. We're looking at a very nice painting of birds.
Yeah,
Right,
it's quite a nice painting.
it is. It's very
currently,
nice. Yeah.
Jason's expertise and lineup building will be represented by these two parrots.
Very nice. Are they parrots?
I think they're parrots.
Works for me. I don't really know much about birds.
It's colorful and it's a bird. What else is
There you
it?
go.
I don't know, man.
There you go. So, yeah. Figured we're probably gonna talk a lot about lineups today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're just leading into seasonal. Do you want to like? He'll probably be back by the time we go around. Do you want to just like go around and go like gun to your head? What would your lineup be today?
Yeah.
And we
Sure.
can just start from there.
So, gun to my head, gotta lock it in. I'd probably just be like deep, Ezreal Draven, GP Sejuani, and I'd just like run it. Just be like, okay, let's hope this works. Because I've found that I really just want to play deep, but I don't exactly know what I want to play it with yet. And I don't want to go into like the deep Aziralia like lineup because I just refuse to play Aziralia. I just don't want to do it. I'm never gonna do it. So yeah, wow, Haneke's camera is like freaking out for me. Hold on.
He's filming on a potato.
Is it? Looks fine.
No, if you look at the OBS, it's like the rainbow static.
Oh
thing.
god.
That happens sometimes. There's a button I can actually click to fix it, so I just have to keep my mouse on the button and just watch his camera. But yeah, like I want to play Ezreal Draven because I think it's so good into like all the random decks people are going to use to fill out their lineup. Ezreal Draven, I think, just like stomps, Turbo Thralls, TK Raka, all the elusive decks, just like random stuff. And then all the stuff it's not like super crushing, it's still like 50-50-ish against. And then, yeah, like I said, I've been winning a lot with Deep. And then the third deck, I'm not really sure. Like, I'd like to fit a Viego deck in there, I think. That'd be super cool. I can't play Twisted Fate Viego in Deep, though, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But, like, Ionia Viego, I might even look into, like, Freljord Viego or something. Probably not, but I might. So, yeah, that's what I got right now. Oh, also, I want to figure out if I want to play Lee. Maybe he's really good. So many options.
We all bouncing around to watch. What about you, Mr. Jason Florent? What are you on right now?
Yeah, I'm bouncing around a bunch too. I was on the sort of Henneke lineup, but I feel like everyone's going like bigger now. Like you're seeing like Anivia, you're seeing Deep, you're seeing Gangplank Twisted Fate. Lots of decks like that are kind of like, I feel like trying to prey on the popular decks, like the Gangplank Sejuanis and J4 Shens and Easy Dravens and stuff. Or you try to go underneath it. And so I've had a lot of success playing things that like beat those decks. So as much as
Yeah, my internet completely just shut down. Well, not my goddamn download speed. All right, we're back.
We're back.
We're back. We did it. We did okay.
Okay.
Why do you guys make me do this stuff?
So,
Because you're streaming.
yeah, because you're always streaming at the time. You're literally doing this thing. Why do you make me do the thing that I'm doing? Okay. Lisa and Zoe, I've been having success with lately. Anivia, I've liked. I'm interested in Deep because it also preys on a lot of those decks and seems like it could be okay against aggro. So it seems like what we have is like but then those lists are weak to aggro, right? So like what are the pillars of the format? You've got aggro at the bottom, or like on one side. You've got decks that are kind of like in the middle, so things like Easy Draven, Gangplank Sejuani, yeah, GP Sedge. What else is you just like Aurelia Azir, all the pink. Then you have all the pink.
I would put the pink yellow at the other.
Yeah,
yeah. So you've got pink yellow, mid range, aggro, and then like the stuff that goes over the top. Man, do you have 5? Do you have the stuff? Do you have like the control
like
stuff?
This?
And then we have Mickey of Pentagon.
It's very confusing.
All right. I didn't want people to get insulted if I put aggro at the bottom of the
pillars go like this.
Like, oh, you don't like
like
pillars go like this. They go like this.
Your pillars, because they're holding up the format, so it'd be 1 pillar, 2 pillar, 3 pillar. And you're all like,
because the camera's above me,
swimming under, and Anivia is like shooting out of a cannon over it.
All right.
And
anywho's, so gun to my head, if I had to choose, like the big question for me is like I would love to run something that's really good against like the mid range and the control decks that is just bad against aggro. And so that's like the big question mark for me is, do I make that gamble or not? And I just need more information. I didn't know how bad those aggro matchups are. I want to know how good like Anivia is to GP Sedge, because like one of the problems I'm having with the format, I think, is that like there's not a lot of good information. You know, if you go off of Mobalytics or whatever, like that's not very good. And then like a lot of matchups were like, yeah, this matchup's really good to this one. It's like, oh no, it turns out if you just play it in a certain way, like the matchup's actually like close or not, or switch back the other way even. And so yeah, I just feel like I need a lot more information on like what actually beats what.
So what I'm hearing is that Majin's, you know, if he had to lock in today, decks were Dravenez, Deep, and then maybe some kind of Viego deck. And Jason Fwatt isn't showing up for check-in. What about Mr. J Sensational? What do you got?
Yeah, so I think you guys know, it's no surprise to anyone here what 2 decks could be. But taking a step back from that, I think like I'm feeling pretty solid about like a Lurk plus Azir Aurelia, just like as a 2 deck in a lineup. I feel like this does well into, well, it does fine into GP Sedge. They have to ban Azir Aurelia, and then Lurk is like 50-50. It does fine into the decks that try to counter GP Sedge like TK Raka, and I can just high roll aggro if I need to. And then for a 3rd deck, that's kind of where I'm like a little unsure of what I want to bring. I'm really comfortable with Silliness, as all of you guys might know. I feel like it does okay. It makes my matchups like Frezreal, Lee Sin, Zoe a little bit weaker. But it's just like a pretty solid deck overall. So that's kind of where I'd be in like a 3 deck lineup right now. Most unsure deck is the Silliness. That could be like a 3rd aggro deck, for example, just to fit in like a triple aggro lineup a little bit closer. But that's where I'm kind of at. Like I can high roll aggro any aggro lineup with Azir Aurelia. I'm at least 50-50 into. I can 50-50 GP Sedge and probably beat the decks that try to counter it. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, we've seen a big resurgence in Azir Aurelia kind of at the same time as you've seen the decks trying to go over the top, and that's kind of what you're going to see in any kind of really wide open circular metagame like what we have right now. We were solidly on mid range for a while, and then people are like, all right, so what if we go bigger? And the answer is Azir Aurelia bodies you. That's what happens when you go bigger. Mm-hmm. What about you, Mr. Henneke? What are you up to?
Yeah, I think if I were to play tomorrow or today, I think it would still be my Azir Irelia, Draven Ezreal, and GP Sedge list. They're just good mid-range decks that I feel confident on. No matter where the meta go, or like one way or the other, I think you get some winnable matchups against the control or even against the aggro. And I feel pretty confident playing the mid-range mirrors. As Majin was talking about, Draven Ezreal is just going to be fine into pretty much everything you play. And Azir Irelia is just like a really strong deck. It's really hard to target. Like when you bring triple aggro, you know, the deck just wins sometimes. And then you lose the one thing you're really, really good against, and the lineup just gets out for free, right? So it's pretty problematic deck to handle. And obviously it does really well into the slower control decks like Anivia, as Karma, like Spooky Karma, whatever. So yeah, I'm really confident bringing that deck. If I did want to go slower, I'd probably bring something like the combo deck, Lee Sin, and like, I don't know, Ez Karma or something like that, and then just try and go really, really, really slow to punish combo or like control and stuff like that. But I'm not too confident in doing something like that just yet. But it is something to think about.
Yeah, I've definitely also heard some whisperings about the triple Ionia, including the combo, Lee combo and Karma Ez. Just we refuse to play this game fairly. We're not doing it anymore.
It's like, you don't kill me on. It's the I'm not dead on turn 7 lineup. Like
you lose.
Cool. Why?
Yeah.
I like Lee. I just am not certain I want to commit to Lee. The last time I played Lee was the only time I didn't top 32. And like a lot of it was because of Lee. I had multiple games. I like screenshotted him and showed him in the Discord where like I had multiple games where I got down to 15 or less cards and just never saw Lee Sin. And lost like already won games. You know what I mean? Games that it was like, all right, game's locked. I just got to draw this card at some point and I'll win. And then like 9 turns later, I still haven't seen it. And you just don't win without it, right? And I would eventually lose, and I'm worried that will happen again. But like Lee's got bad matchups, right? But if you're like if you just like auto ban Shurima Ionia, most of his bad matchups goes away.
Yeah.
And then you're left with like mostly pretty good matchups. You still have to worry about like Merciless Hunter and other decks and stuff like that. But you know, if your opponent shows up with like Anivia, like even like GP Sedge, Ezreal Draven, like as Lee, I'm like, cool. And even some of the aggro decks, like I've been telling people that Lee Sin's favored into Pirates for like months. Especially now that you're like all in on Eye of the Dragon. And so Lee could be a really big contender in seasonals. But I think Lee and like the infinite combo decks over all the other decks are all about your lineup.
Yeah.
So what am I? What are you bringing?
So y'all know me as the degenerate Targon player, and I've finally gone all the way back to my roots. I think I've finally found a Zoe deck that I can actually bring. So I think if I was showing up today, I would probably bring the crazy Zoe Vi Leona thing that I've been playing with, and then I'd probably also run Anivia and the Viego Kegs deck. And the idea behind that is.
Hold on one second. Let me get the advent calendar here. Who had Zoe? What is it here? It's August the 5th. Who had he breaks on August the 5th. collect your money afterwards. After the show. Okay, sorry, continue.
They nerfed it so hard I couldn't stay away. I tried, man. I tried. But I think the idea behind that lineup is more than anything that some of the strongest places to be right now are both the elusive lists, the aggro lists, and the Sivir lists, and I get to be solid into all of that.
Yeah.
And I think that the thing that lineup is the weakest to is all of the crazy combos, right? Like we're talking about Lee Sin, like Karma Ezreal,
TK
like
Raka, Turbo Thralls.
Yeah, like any deck that's not playing the normal style of game, I'm going to have problems with. And the theory is that though those lineups are powerful, there will be less people who bring them because they're generally really hard to pilot and people don't want to. And B, it's really easy if you can dodge those in the first couple rounds for those decks to end up being taken out by random ass aggro decks or elusives or anything else. It's definitely a big weakness to have, to be not ready for the crazy combo decks. But I think the problem is if you decide to go in prepared for the combos, then I don't know if you end up getting good into anything else.
Unless you're already playing like decks that are good into them, right? If you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm bringing aggro anyway, then like don't even think about it. You know, you don't have to worry.
And I mean,
But like
that's like their advantage in the meta, right? Like they just kind of take off this weird perspective where people who try and counter the meta are just getting completely owned by what you're trying to do. But like I wouldn't feel confident to bring something like TK Raka because yes, it's going to be good into Lee. Yes, it's going to be good into Anivia. Yes, it's good into GP Sedge, but then you're just going to lose to all this random stuff, right? You can't play against Pink Yellow. You can't really beat a lot of the aggro, and it's just a really hard deck to be bringing or justify bringing to a lineup, right? Same thing with like Fresriel and stuff like that. Is the way I see it.
That's how I feel too. And there's so much of that random aggro nonsense going around right now that people are going to be like, well, I'm not super comfortable on like a bunch of different decks, but the Zed deck seems sick. This Lulu deck seems really good. I've played Pirates before. I'll throw that in there, right? Or even like a Zirelia is like tough, right? And these are the decks that like have been around for a while, and so people like filling their lineup with them makes total sense to me. And I hate, you guys know that I hate showing up. I just have to keep clicking the fix Heneke's camera button like every
I don't know
5
what's
seconds.
happening. Why is it
I have
like
no idea.
this?
It's an OBS
It's
Ninja thing. It's
glitching
not your
out.
camera.
Okay.
So yeah, I absolutely hate taking a lineup that like loses to anything. I don't even need a lineup that beats anything, but I just don't want my lineup to like lose to anything. I don't want to go into a lineup and go, God damn it, right? Like that's what I'm trying to avoid. I feel like, and I say this over and over and over again, I feel like if I just take 50-50s all the time, I'll come out in really good shape. I take less of that stance once it hits things like top 32. I might not go that direction if it gets to like top 16 of Worlds or something. But for open rounds with a lot of people, I just want to be playing like really good stuff, and I want to play better than you. That's like basically how I try to approach these.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always found that really, really interesting because I definitely advocate that one as well. But if you look at a player like Majin who builds lineup like that, and you look at a player like me who's basically always trying to play exploitative, I think it shows that Runeterra is one of those games where you can really have different styles and you can play what works for you and it'll work out really well if you practice it a lot.
Yeah. Especially this meta. This meta, I think, is more like it's almost impossible to make a lineup that's not, weak to some other lineup. And so like it's going to come down to a little bit of luck on your pairings, sure, but like like so many matchups are like very winnable, and that's what I think one of the reasons it's hard for people to pick decks. I know it has been for me, in that like there's just so much play, right? Like 60-40 is like, aha, I got a big edge. Well, guess what? You're still losing 4 out of 10. That's like a lot of losing to be doing. So yeah, I think it's gonna come down to people just knowing their decks and their matchups really well. Because obviously not only will that allow them to play well, but also like be able to ban well, which I think is something that will kind of goes taken for granted a little bit. How many people, one, know their decks really well, and then two, know how to ban really well. So I think whoever does those really well will succeed at this seasonals.
Have you ever had a seasonals match where you like break it down and you're like, okay, opponent has to ban this, so I'm gonna ban this because if they don't ban this, this happens. And then they make like the wrong ban, and you're like, oh, thanks, like like free win, right? That's almost what it feels like sometimes. Maybe they haven't practiced a matchup, or they don't quite know how something works, or maybe they just see it differently than I do, and then like they make a ban that I don't agree with, and all of a sudden it feels like I have the hardest edge when like maybe I didn't before if I just looked at the 3 lineups. If they made like what I would think is like the correct ban. So yeah, make sure you got to actually know your matchups, and then I like to try to put myself in my opponent's head. So the first thing I do, I don't know how you guys approach this, but the first thing I do when like the lineups load is I like gut instinct go, okay, what am I banning here? I go like, I don't want to play against that deck, and then I like, okay, that's a thought, and then I think about, okay, like, and it's usually right. It usually ends up being right. But then I'll go like, okay, that deck sucks. I don't want to play against that, and then I go, all right, I'm my opponent. I see this lineup. What do I have to ban? And then you look and you go, okay, well, I have this deck, and I have to protect it, right? I am playing a Zeralia, and they have Ezreal Draven. Like, that's such a bad matchup for me, or something like that, right? And so I go, okay, well, my opponent's going to ban this Ezreal Draven. And then I think, okay, if my opponent's banned Ezreal Draven, do I need to change my ban strategy now? And sometimes that's yes, and sometimes that's no, right? And if you can get that, like, that line, if you can go, like, maybe next level on your ban, I feel like it gives you such a huge advantage.
Oh, yeah. Massive.
That's definitely very worthwhile, but I will caution people on this one a little bit, because if you are playing against other very good players who are starting from that same mindset, it is easy to overthink yourself on the bans and get in some trouble.
Yeah. I usually recommend just banning what's good against you. Like just make it a ban, you know. But every now and then you're like, okay, they're locked into banning this deck, so I can maybe be a little tricky.
There are definitely situations you can get into with a bunch of different lineups where the ban is almost fluid, right? It's like, if I ban this deck, then they should ban this, but if I ban this, they should ban this. Mm-hmm. And at that point, unless you have a hard read on your opponent, I realize it sounds a little bit silly, but I tend to favor actually flipping a coin on it.
Yeah, me too.
Like, if you actually get into a situation where you are 50-50 to hit the right ban, then generally it is better to game theory it.
So yeah, I mean, you can flip a coin, but you can also like try and recognize that it is a weighted coin, right? Like, they're never going to be exactly 50-50 opposite, right? One's going to be slightly better if you miss, one's going to be slightly better if you hit, right? So sure. Sometimes you want to, you know, maybe mitigate or mitigate your losses, I guess, and just like try and say, if I miss this ban, then, you know, at least I still have a decent chance, right? And sometimes you're still at disadvantage, but, you know, you try and do your best. But yeah, flipping a coin is really fun, and I always do it like first pick of the set. Like, whenever you're deciding which deck you want to play, I always flip a coin.
I usually just pick whichever one I feel like playing more. Yeah. Like,
and
I haven't played Draven Ezreal in a while. Let's start with that.
There are situations where that's not right, though, right? And I think this is something that gets overlooked a little bit. I think there are situations where the first deck you play with is forced. Because, for example, this is something that used to happen to me a lot, right? I do like a lineup that was hard targeting Lee, and if my opponent shows up with, you know, Lee, two other decks that are both very good into me, then if I brought, for example, Teemo Ez, I almost have to queue Teemo Ez as that first deck, right? Because if Lee gets through, then I have basically automatically lost. Like, the match is over. So like when you're choosing your first deck, on some level, it's often right to do the coin flip, but you also have to think sometimes, which of my deck needs 2 lives?
Okay, but like, you say your whole lineup is good into Lee, right? Is that what?
Sure, but some of them are better into it, right?
And you want to play the one that's better first, is what you're saying?
Yeah,
to make sure Lee doesn't get through.
If you have a deck like Teemo Ez, right? Like, I love this one specifically for this example.
Sure.
That's like actually 80% into Lee, but gets completely destroyed by something like Draven Ezreal, right? If after my bans, my opponent has Draven Ezreal and Lee, and I'm on like Teemo Ez and Tom Kench, I feel like I have to open Frezreal.
Well, okay, so if you're in your scenario, you open Frezreal and they queue into Lee, Magical Christmas Land, and you beat it, you still have to play Lee into the other deck, though.
Yes, but the point is the other deck can beat both of them, right?
Okay, sure, but what if they just play the other one?
So if I, for example, if I have one that's 80-20 and I have the other one that's, you know, 60-40,
sure.
If I play the 60-40 first into Lee, then 4 out of 10 times Lee beats it.
Sure.
And then I have no chance to beat the other deck.
No, I'm with you. I'm on the same page now. I get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I hate handing a free win to my opponent.
Yeah.
But
it's rough.
I get you. Just win the 80-20.
But you're also basically getting a free win, right?
But I mean, you can also see, like, from the other side of the coin, right? That's like an exploitable like idea, right? If they queue up the Draven Ezreal first, then they're gonna have an advantage, and they win that first match, and then they just have to win some lead matchup, right? And that's better for them. So at the end of the day, it's pretty much always a coin flip, like because there is that other equation where they can just play the other deck first.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And they're thinking, if I play Draven Ezreal and I get this free win, then all I have to do is win once with 40% on lead, and I'm super ahead. So, yeah, I mostly just go, which one do I want to play more?
I think you guys are forgetting, though. You're forgetting that by doing it this way, like, yeah, you sometimes get in the spot where first you have to give up a good matchup, but then you get a really you're guaranteeing yourself that 80-20 matchup. So you're like giving up a matchup somewhat, but then you're guaranteeing a good matchup, and then it's like down to the last game. Whereas if you do it the other way, sometimes you just get blown out and you just get like bad matchup. Yeah,
it's basically the Henneke and Majin are totally right that the line of thinking is very exploitable, and sometimes you do have to go out of it and back into that mind game coin flip territory anyway. But the idea is, and I know this sounds weird coming from me who plays the exploitative decks, right? But the idea is that you are reducing variance by, as Jason says, accepting that you're likely to get a bad matchup to guarantee your very good one.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. But I mean, like mathematically, like the game theory route is that it is like you should be flipping a coin, because the probability works out that me matching Teemo Ezra Slee is like the same as me matching I guess what's the other deck, TK Raka versus Draven Ezreal. Like they're the same thing. So if like they lead off Draven Ezreal, I'd rather lead the other deck in this scenario, and like the same way as playing Teemo Ez versus Lee Sin, because it secures the opposite matchup as well. Because like when you play Draven Ezreal versus like TK Raka, that means in this set you have to play at some point Freljord Teemo versus Lee Sin, right? This is how the set has to play out. I mean, you can lose twice on the TK Raka, but like you could always play the Teemo Ezreal deck, right?
Yeah. I guess what I'm saying is you want to, if possible, avoid playing Raka into Lee before Teemo Ez gets its shot at Lee, right? Because you want to make sure that one thing happens. Yeah. And so it's sometimes worth removing that variance if you think you will be enough ahead in the matchup, assuming that thing happens.
I just want them to buff Targon so that no matter what they ban, and no matter what order I pick, I'm always playing Star Shaping.
Oh shit, that's my line.
That's all I want. I miss it.
Degenerates.
The good old days. How prepared, on a scale of 1 to 10, I want to hear how prepared are you guys feeling on this seasonal versus like other seasonals?
All right, you first.
Me first?
You first.
Probably like a 5. And I usually feel about a 5. Last seasonal, I felt like pretty much 8 at this point. I was like, I know what I'm playing, and I'm really good at these decks. So like, I feel really prepared. But this seasonal, like there's so many options, and yeah, that's like a fantastic thing for the meta, but it's like really hard because I have to like pick. It's not, the game's just not telling me what I have to play. So yeah, like that's what's getting me, is like I keep switching around decks. I think if I like locked myself into 3, even if it was a subpar lineup, I would be more prepared by this point. And I'm not really willing to do that to myself.
Yeah.
Until a few days from now. So yeah, not as prepared as I would like to be. I'm gonna say a 5.
That's close to where I'm at. I've had pretty decent success in like GCB and some scrims that I've had with my current lineup, and honestly, like 2 decks that I feel really comfortable with. Azir Aurelia, I should probably get some more practice in instead of like throwing away my Aurelia without Shapestone. But like
very specific.
But like I like where I'm at. It's gonna take like a good amount of, I don't know what to convince me. Like I'd have to get beaten like 5 times in a row by like a similar set of lineups. And at this point, like I have 2 decks that I'm comfortable with. 2 decks that, some people probably aren't comfortable with, and that's like an innate advantage to me, I guess. So I kind of like where I'm at. I feel okay about like different kind of matchups, and it's been working out for me. So sooner or later, I'm probably just gonna lock it in and then just call it there, and I don't know, figure it out.
So what's your number?
Oh, 7, 8.
It's pretty good.
All right, Henneke, what you got?
I would say I think literally every seasonal I have decided what lineup I'm gonna play like 2 or 3 days before the seasonal, or less. Like so, if I have some idea of what I want to play at this point, I'd call it a win. Like I'd say I'm at like a 7 or 8. I kind of have some lineups. There's a couple ideas I have, but I have some lineups that I'm pretty confident could do well. And I just have to settle on which one it is. Like. And I think that's a pretty good spot to be in. I think I have a pretty good understanding of the meta right now and like what all the to some degree like what the matchups look like. I think I'm still learning that to some degree, but like I would probably put myself at like a 7 or 8. Yeah.
All right. I feel like I'm in that range, like solid 7 or 8. Like I should probably put myself higher. I'm probably honestly around a 9 right now. Like, unless something seriously changes, I think my seasonal lineup is probably locked in. Like, unless I get like totally bodied or some new hotness deck comes out or the meta suddenly becomes all combo, I am probably going to be on Anivia, Viego, and Targon deck. And that's honestly that's how I end up doing it a lot. Like, I will like a week or two before the seasonals, I'll be like, this is what I'm playing in tournaments. I'm having fun with it. I know how to play these decks. Fuck it. Let's go. Stop touching shit.
I think that's the advantage of your approach, is you're always playing tournaments and you're always scrimming. So when we go, okay, it's probably time to start thinking about our seasonals lineup, you're like, all right, well, this is what I played in the last 6 tournaments, and it's been doing pretty good, so I'm just going to stick with that. You start ahead of the curve, which definitely has a lot of positives.
The downside to that is I'm still not sure if I'm going to be able to get the 7-2 on ladder or not. So we gotta sweat that out over the next week or two.
That is the downside. You got it. You're gonna get it. What do you got? Like 400 LP right now? 450?
I actually I busted into a streak this morning. I'm a little over 500, but
ooh, you're practically there.
I'm hoping it works.
Hell yeah.
All right, what about you, Jason? What you got?
I'm a legit 5. I think Bay is like a faux 5. I think he's full of shit. He's at least like mastered a bunch of decks and put a bunch of time in with a bunch of them. Yeah, so I feel like I got a 5. There's a bunch of things I want to try out. The problem I have right now is like I don't really know what the meta is going to look like. And a lot of the decks that I kind of want to try out, everyone's like, it's hard. How am I supposed to play Lee when Bay is like, nah, I can't play Lee? Like, what? So I'm gonna play it then? Like, it's like one of mine's like, nah, no Targon for me. And I'm like, okay, guys, triple Targon. This is the season to do it. Like, actually, I wanted to play Frezreal, and one of mine's like, I love Frezreal, but I won't touch that with a 10-foot cloud ball. I was like, oh god, all the decks I want to play.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of an issue. So I got time though, which is good, and my schedule is basically cleared from now until seasonals. I'm gonna be doing nothing but testing and grinding, and I have put in a decent amount of work over the last week. So I feel like I'm okay at least. I will be okay. Whereas like maybe a week ago, I was sweating. I was really nervous. I felt like I was pretty like in trouble, basically. Now I just want like. Okay, so this is actually going to bring me to my next question. I need a little bit more tournament experience, and I was like, we're just talking about how one of my plays all the tournaments, and I was curious, what do you think about how those community tournaments compare to seasonals? Because the metas tend to be quite different, and thus what ends up doing well ends up sometimes being different.
So I think the community tournaments have much more, and I don't want to have this come off any kind of badly, right? But I feel like the community tournaments have much more actual metagame than seasonals open rounds does, because in the community tournaments you have people who are basically showing up weekend after weekend saying, this is what I want to do with my weekend, I'm going to try to think about this meta, and this is what I'm going to build today. And so you get these shifting tournaments that the meta changes sometimes day to day if you have a Saturday and a Sunday tournament. It's crazy. I think the seasonal metagame, you have to be some level of prepared for anything, because you're gonna get like maybe the top 200 Masters players, and then maybe like the first 100 or so people to qualify from Gauntlet, and the other 700 people are just like, this sounds fun. Fuck it, I play these decks. Let's go.
Yeah, they're like, I have these cards. I can play this. But like, oh, good.
And I don't mean that to sound denigrating, right? But there's not that many people in the world right now who are seriously focusing on Runeterra for more than like a month or so around seasonals time. And so you get this very wide open metagame, right?
Yeah, those guys sound like nerds.
Yeah.
Can confirm.
Who else thought Jason, when he was talking about community tournaments and stuff, was leading into a
plug
self-plug?
them.
It was the easiest plug of all time. How can you not plug there, Jason?
Yeah. That was shocking to me.
Tournament.
Oh, was I supposed to plug something? Like
$300 free entry.
Yep.
This Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. Oh, thank you. Look at you. Look at you little puppets. Dance for me. You can plug for me now. So yeah, everyone sign up for the tournament, please. I'm like low-key a little bit proud of myself. I found us some sponsorship money. It took me a while, and I'm hoping that we knock this one out of the park, and maybe it becomes like a regular thing, which would be freaking fantastic.
Yeah, free entry, $300 prize pool. There is limited spots, and as far as I know, we're past the halfway point on signups. Exclamation mark tournament in chat if you want to get the link. The info, some good practice before seasonals. I kind of wish I could play in it. I need some tournament experience. It's been a while. I always think, I'm like, I'm always like, okay, yeah, these are the decks I have experience with. What lineups do I have experience with? And then I realize that I haven't played any tournaments. So the answer is none. Like, I've played seasonals and Fight Night, and I think the last non-seasonals and non-Fight Night tournament I played was like 3 months ago, and I got kicked out and I didn't even get to play.
Oh, I remember that. Oh no.
Luckily we have the league now.
Yeah.
Which is helpful.
Yeah.
That's something. Not that I get to play. Hashtag Majin bench. They just keep benching me, and I just have to sit and watch. But that has been helpful to like see these lineups and everything, and like actually see tournaments and stuff.
I actually like being on the bench. Like
it's kind of fun.
I thought it was really fun being on the bench yesterday because you can see like all the games going on and like what everyone's playing and what all the matchups look like. It's pretty interesting.
It's tough though when it's your stream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was the rough part. I was like,
I forgot about
all right,
that.
start stream, run the league, let's go. And then I just sat there and commentated on your guys' matches for 2 hours, and then that was it.
I mean,
So-
that's not bad
That was
either.
fun.
So
It was so
Majin-
fun. We had a good time.
You're
Majin,
practicing
you know-
for your tournament.
You know how to guarantee that you won't be benched this next one, other than hitting Jason to make sure he doesn't mess it up.
How?
Got me, bro.
You gotta make sure that you run a Tom Kench deck. That way we can unbench the Kench.
And bench the Kench. Yep. And bench the Kench. I'll bring back Tom Kench Aphelios. Throw it back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
God, that would be a horrible right now. That'd be so bad.
Frickin' Deech keeps showing up with that deck and somehow doing well with it in these tournaments. I don't understand. Nobody else plays Target anymore, not even me, except for the last couple days when I finally picked up Zoe Vi again. And this entire season, it's like Deech and 1 or 2 other guys have been still trying to play box to pose off Aphelios, and it keeps working. I don't get it.
It works, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people are not, like, people aren't used to it anymore. So I can't imagine people are playing correctly into them.
Yeah, that's part of it.
So, they play Aphelios, and they're like, oh, that's pretty good, I guess. Wonder what they're going to pick. And then they crescendo a box boost, and they go, I really shouldn't have played that Green Glade duo this turn, right? Like, it's stuff like that.
Sure.
But, yeah, like, kudos to them for making it work somehow. Yeah, I remember I see Deech on Twitter, he's like, Aphelios is nuts, check this deck out. And it's like, bro, this is like Seasonals deck from 2 Seasonals. What is this? How are you winning with this? Can you change decks post sign up? Yes. Yes, you can.
You had better be able to, because I've done it like 3 times already. So if I'm not getting banned, you're probably good.
I always just like.
You're getting banned.
You're getting banned
But not for that reason.
The community tournaments are always like, okay, post your codes when you sign up, and I sign up like a week early, and I'm like, so I just copy the 3 closest codes to me and just throw them in there. It's like, I don't even know what it is. And then one time I had a problem changing it. I like couldn't get to the page to change it, and I panicked because I had like decks that chat sent me in there. So it was like Unitless Targon, you know, like 9 the 9 mana like Freljord card in Case and Ice or whatever. I don't know what it's called, but you know what I'm talking about. The Ruination that's not actually Ruination. I had a deck with 3 Buried in Ice. Yeah, that's what it was. And I was like, please, dear God, let me change this or I'm gonna drop. I can't play this crap. Yeah, I'm excited for seasonals though. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm scared and excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, question specifically for Jason Florent and Majin. I know that Henneke and on some level also Jay Sensational do this with me, the community tournament stuff. What would need to change for you guys to be more interested in coming and doing the community tournaments more often?
Bigger prize pools.
Stakes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have to remember that like, I don't just stream. I mean, you know this, right? Everybody knows this. I don't just stream. I do YouTube. I do Mastering Runeterra stuff. Jason does it with me. Like, so I have to go, okay, like I'm busy pretty much every single day during the weekday doing this stuff, this content creation stuff. I can either have my weekend, see my friends, or I can play in this community tournament, or I can make content. And it's like, the community tournament is just not, the ROI is not there. And while I enjoy tournaments a lot, I can't get myself to play free tournaments. Like I haven't been able to do that in Magic. I can't do that in anything. I don't even want to play like a game of pool against my friends unless there's like stakes involved. That's just the kind of person I am.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
So here's the question, and a lot of the Runeterra community has come out on the other side of that, where we've tried a couple times to do the buy-in tournaments and we've gotten really low turnout. How do you think we can set it up so we can get more people in on the idea of buy-in tournaments? Even if it's like a $5 buy-in tournament, if 95% of it goes to prize pool. That feels like something that we've tried a couple of times and it's never quite managed to actually get the following. Any theories?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, so I was going to say, so, there's kind of like 2 different ways to do it, right? There's the buy-in tourneys, and then there's like sponsored money, which is basically like people paying for advertising. Bay and I are probably going to do something that's like a combination of the 2, where like we just have our Runeterra opens and we like charge money, something like, maybe it's $10 the prize pool. It's like a $500 guaranteed, so you need like 50 people to break even on the prize pool, and like even if you get like 30 and like I don't know, we take a hit for 200, like that's still not as bad as us paying like $1,000 out of pocket, and at least it's like more manageable. So you could do things that are kind of like they're buy-in but maybe also have some sponsored money. I think that's maybe like the way to do it.
Not that that's super easy though, right? It's not as easy as just calling up your local Pizza Hut and saying, hey, you want to throw some money at my Runeterra tournament? But like, yeah, I agree.
I appreciated you calling them though. That was nice of you to try to make that happen.
I did my best.
That would be sick.
No.
Runeterra Pro Gamers sponsored by Pizza Hut.
No one out pizzas the Hut. No one open passes against the Hut.
Oh my god.
So yeah, I mean, one thing I've known about community tournaments is that like there's the community tournament players who play in like almost all of them, and then you get a fraction that's like just people who like showed up that weekend or whatever. But even me, who's like super entrenched in Runeterra and the community, I don't hear about any of these tournaments.
Huh.
I have to go.
You know what? Okay,
here
you go. Here you go. This is a really. I got some more info on this. So, one of the reasons I think it's important to figure out why people play, and I think straight money is not typically the reason. It's the same in Magic, right? Yeah. We pay hundreds of dollars to play in events, and we pay to enter the event, and we pay hundreds of dollars to get decks for the event, and then like basically nobody ever makes money. but we still do it. We'll do it again and again for Grand Prix, nonstop. But people have tried to do it. This one company tried to do it, or people tried to do it in Vegas. They tried to have big money tournament. I forget what the details were. It was something like $50 entry or something, and it was like I forget, like 100,000 for first or something like this. They tried to go like big money, and nobody showed up. Nobody showed up at all. Like 50 people showed up. Whereas for a Grand Prix in Vegas, like tens of thousands of people will show up. They have to have multiple Grand Prix.
You know what it
and
is?
So it's like, why? It's because we play for the prestige. We play for the chance to be a Grand Prix champion and to play on the Pro Tour regularly. That's everyone is chasing the Pro Tour to make it to the big league, play with the best. And so that's something I've thought about a lot. And like I didn't go down to that. I've traveled to many Grand Prix around the world. I didn't go to that big Vegas money tournament. Just didn't care. I was like,
go play
whatever.
poker if I wanted to play for just money.
Yeah, you can do a bunch of other things that make me way more money.
Yep.
So
go to work.
Yeah, get a fucking job. So I thought about, I've really wanted. I talked to me a bunch about this, like to do like a like the Star City Games tour, like the SCG tour. They have the online tour. So I would love for us to be able to do like a Master Runeterra tournament series and do the kind of thing where you have a tournament every weekend, and then every like 3 months you have like a big money, or 4 months you have like a big money invite tournament. Because what they also do in Magic is like you have like a Worlds invite. Like say it's like you run it all year, and like the person that's whatever has the most points, something, that person gets an invite to Worlds, something like that. Like that would bring people in. That would bring me in.
Yeah.
If there was some tournament series out there where I could qualify for Worlds, I go hit that up for sure. And so those are the kinds of things I think we need.
I love the Star City Games tournament format so much. For those of you who don't know, essentially like a little more in depth, basically Star City Games would hold tournaments every single weekend. The Star City Opens, and you'd play in them, and based on your finish, you'd be assigned points. There was also cash prizes and things like cool cards and stuff were given away, but you'd be assigned points. And then the leaderboards of these points would be invited every 3 months, 4 months to the Star City Games Invitationals, where it was just like the winners and people with enough points. So you could like spike a tournament, or you could like have enough points on the league, get invited to these invitationals. There's big money prizes in these. And like, I liked this format so much that I wanted to like move to the East Coast to play it, because it's not on the West Coast.
A lot of people did.
Because it's like, I wanted to play tournaments that mattered. When I go to Friday Night Magic, like I don't anymore. I haven't in like a year or two now because COVID. But like when I would go to Friday Night Magic, I would leave halfway through at like 3-0 because I just didn't care. Like I'd be like, I'm bored of this. Like I could take first again, or like I could just go home and do something productive. It didn't feel like there was any reason for me to be there. And that's what I feel about the community tournaments. It's like, okay, I top 8'd. I could sit here for another 6 hours and play for $20, or I can like do something else.
So two things I want to touch on real quick. First of all, the idea of like the Runeterra Star City Games League would be super awesome. Mm-hmm. It feels like you definitely need to have Riot behind that on some level.
That's going to be even if it's just like sponsoring, right?
Yeah. Sure. Like even if they weren't putting it together, they were just putting the money into it, like we would need to have Riot behind it on some level. Mm-hmm. And the second thing is that I don't know how many people remember this, but this was probably more than a year ago at this point, way back at the beginning of Runeterra. I was one of the people affected, so I remember. But somebody tried that, actually. It was the IQ tournament series. And it was this huge thing over like 4 or 5 different tournaments that had the lead up to the one big one. And they did the one big one, and it was amazing. And then the entire IQ team flaked and disintegrated and never paid anyone out.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some level of having to overcome that stigma in regards to that kind right?
Yeah.
Well, we already paid out.
We already paid out.
You guys are awesome. I'm just saying, like, for the people in the community who remember that, right?
Someone pointed out in chat, and I think this is a really important thing. We touched on this in an earlier episode a lot with gauntlets. Is that I will play events to win cool cosmetics.
Yes.
If there's something you can only get in the tournament, if I could buy it, I'm just gonna buy it. But like, but if it's something you can only get by like winning a tournament or like winning this gauntlet or whatever for this limited time,
That's
and they're
dope.
cool. Not like icons, right? I see icons for 3 seconds before the match actually starts. But like cool card backs, interesting looking, what are they called? Prismatics. Like that kind of stuff, I'd show up. I'd play for that. You could put $100 up top. I wouldn't play. But you put a really cool looking Draven skin, I'll be there.
Yeah, let's talk about this for a second. Like, we're talking about Riot here, right? This is literally a company like that, you know, put esports on the map. Like, look what they've done with all of their other games. Even TFT like has a pretty so they have some pretty big tournaments, don't they? I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
I know that. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Valorant, yes. League, yes. Wild Rift is even getting some huge tournaments already. And so let's be real. Like, seasonals of worlds just like did it exist like 8 months ago, 6 months ago?
2 thumbs up for seasonals and worlds. Very happy with those.
So and the game's not even like complete yet, right? Like we're still getting the last region this month, also kind of cool. And so
I forgot about that.
It kind of makes sense. And also there's like a lot more of like a balancing, flushing out kind of period as we've sort of seen since beta, right? And so I mean, frankly, wouldn't we just assume that all these big money tournaments are just coming down the line? Because like they're already basically here. Worlds is next month for like $250,000.
Yeah.
And so, I think, and like we've had the EU tournaments. So it's kind of like, they're going step by step, and hopefully it just, materializes on its own. Riot, if anyone at Riot's listening to this, I've been trying to get a hold of the right person. Please, God, contact us, because we would love to put on a series. You laugh now, but guess how we got LPP? We asked a lot. I mean, this is gonna be super annoying and make good content.
I laugh at everything. If it happens, more power to you, brother. That'd be freaking awesome.
That would be really cool. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see it. That's been like, when we started making content and stuff, there was just seasonals and a whisper of more. And we said we wanted seasonals, we wanted a worlds, and we wanted some kind of league. And we used the Star City games as an example. And here we are with 2 of the 3 things. Very happy with how you qualify for worlds. Like, just a couple more things. Gauntlet could get a little fleshed out. And then maybe some way to play competitively best of 3 on client, right? In not seasonals. And then, like, that's it. That's all the things I want, basically. Like, and yeah, I feel like we're close. And I talked about this before, but I really think that if you plan a big change, you're going to wait till after Worlds.
Sure.
Right? You're going to go to Worlds. You're going to see how that goes. Maybe adjust based on that. And then consider rolling out something else. You'll have all 10 regions. You'll have your first, like, real season of competitive play under your belt. And you can go from there. So, yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens. Maybe something will change, too. Like, we don't know if that's the case. Maybe something about seasonal format changes. Maybe, we don't know.
Well, check this out. So Worlds is literally like a month away, right?
It's like
5 weeks away.
That's terrifying to me.
It's 5 weeks away, right?
I'm a little worried about, because the dates they gave us are in the middle of the
weekday.
So
yeah, it starts on Wednesday.
Yeah. Updates on that.
It starts on Wednesday.
So I think this is
thrilling.
I think this is what it is, though. I think it's because like Southeast Asia will be on their Wednesday, which is like our Thursday or whatever. You know what I mean? And then like it's gonna be like that
Thursday,
because
Friday,
if you do it until Sunday, then it's Monday in Southeast Asia, so it has to end like on Saturday, which is their Sunday, and so that's why I think it's like that.
It has to.
Riots and
all I'm saying
NA.
is
Why are we
that-
prioritizing?
Okay, hold on. Check this out. So we know seasonals is still going. After this seasonals that's happening right now, it's the next season starting up. So what does that qualify you for? What is it going to be the same thing? Is it going to be like you got to race up the ladder?
What'd you say?
Yeah. And so what I'm thinking is like we should get like an announcement about like what are you playing for in seasonals? How like will the ladder matter like sometime in the next like month, right?
Yeah, I mean Riot likes to make their announcements during their things.
Yeah.
For the most part, right? Like during seasonals is when we've got most of our announcements, I feel like.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know, oh, new region, that was during seasonals. Like that kind of stuff, right? Oh, here's the roadmap, that was during seasonals. So yeah, maybe next week we'll see some stuff.
Definitely hoping for it because, and I don't want to harsh on this too much, but I know of like at least a dozen top level players who are probably qualified or very likely to qualify for Worlds who wouldn't be able to show up if they just have it be in the middle of a day on a Wednesday.
They're just like waiting tables, like, hold on, gotta make this move.
Yeah, that's a little bit of an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
And seeing this in chat, the other thing is Australia needs to be on the SEA time zone.
Oh yeah,
right?
I feel so bad for them.
They're getting screwed.
That's a problem.
Well, I mean, they don't have to worry about work being in the middle of it, right?
It's still Wednesday.
When you play at 2 a.m., you don't have to worry about missing work.
If you're gonna die, you don't need to worry about the healthcare costs.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, that's basically all I got for this. I don't know what I'm playing. I'm scared about Worlds coming up really soon.
Yeah.
And I want to see a league sometime in the next season.
Worlds is going to be sweet, because Worlds is going to be on the Bandle City patch, but after we've only had like a couple of weeks with it. So no one's going to have any idea what they're doing, and I love that.
It will be like 2 weeks, huh?
Yeah.
It'll be literally like 2 weeks.
You're gonna have 2 weeks with a new set to figure out the best lineups for goddamn Worlds. Go! I love that.
Yeah, 3.5 weeks. That's all you get.
Is it even 3.5? Because let's see,
so, yeah.
We have seasonals in 1.5 weeks. So that's like let's see, the 7th, the 14th is the season.
Like
21st will be top 32, and then 4 days after that. The second's released, right? So 25th.
Yeah, 25th.
Worlds is on the 15th. So yeah, it's like 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's brutal.
That's
I'm gonna win though.
Yeah, no, Heneke's already gonna win. That tweet though. Damn, only this many days till I win Worlds. So funny. I want to know more about the format.
Yeah, what's the format?
I actually no idea.
Like,
it's a good thing that Riot's not on vacation right now.
Yeah, so hopefully they'll come back. I imagine they'll make an announcement during seasonals. They'll be like, here's the actual format. Here's the times, because they do have to let people know at some point when they have to play Worlds, when they have to be there. What if they were just like, hey guys, it's single elimination. Best of one.
Didn't they already release somewhat of the format in like the announcement?
They literally just said the days.
We know the days, and we know that like,
I
how
thought
many
there was
was cut from each region. Like so,
it's like
there was some stuff.
Isn't it like a round robin? Is usually breaking the groups first, and then there's like a round robin in each groups, right?
Yeah.
I swear they released some information.
I think so, but that's some. But I want to know how many rounds. I want to know like all this stuff. I want to know like, is the top 16 single elim? That probably not. Maybe.
Oh, yeah. So top 16, I don't think we know, but like it's 64 people split into 4 groups, round robin, then top 16, right?
Right.
Once I'm the only member of the team to not qualify for Worlds, do I get to go be a caster or something? Like, what do I get?
I mean, don't ask us.
I mean,
damn it!
Come on, Jason. Just
qualify.
top
just top
4.
32. Easy.
Just top 4.
You guys better be nice to me. I'm gonna be there in the caster booth. Be like, oh, what am I again? Let me tell you about this guy.
I'll scoop you in, Jason. If I find you, I'll scoop you.
Majid Bench is somehow in this game. I don't know how that happened.
He's not even good enough to play in our For Fun league. Some people are talking about how they're excited to see JO1 play against the American players. I am too. That guy's a crusher.
Oh yeah.
He's insane.
Is he going to be on the Americas shirt?
No,
No.
he would
Or,
have
like,
to make
in
it to
the
top
world
16.
worlds.
Okay, okay,
I'll make it in the top
that's what I
16.
thought.
There's just no way that anyone in that region will beat JO1.
No, like if you put him,
I'm a little sad
No way.
yeah,
they did it that way. I would have loved to see everyone get
Everyone
to
play
compete against everyone.
I would feel a little better.
And
if
then
that was the
cut.
case. But we do get like more players making it to top 16 because we have more people. Like SEA does SEA even get 1,000 people in Masters for seasonals? I don't think they do.
Last season, they had enough players. I don't think they had the full set.
Yeah.
That's what I heard, but...
So they get like less people. And yeah, JO1 smashes his way through like the Asia server, and not anything against the Asia server, but there's just like less players, like a lot less players. But then he goes on like EU and crushes, and I just want to see him play against. I just want to see him play against everybody. I think like I have to imagine the man makes top 64. Playing against.
You mean top 4?
Top 16. Sorry, top 16.
Yeah.
I have to imagine he makes top 16 playing against SEA in Asia server.
And that's kind of the cool thing about this kind of game, though, right? Because the best player in the world is sometimes going to have a bad day.
Yeah.
There is RNG in this game, so we're still going to have to wait and see.
In my card game.
Gambling in this establishment, unprecedented.
In this economy.
Sometimes the bench warmer wins the seasonals. It happens.
That's true. Yeah, sometimes he just gets lucky and Majin Bench shows up. Yeah, I'm very excited about Worlds. I do want to get the breakdown of the money. I want to see the prize pool payout. Some people are talking about that in chat. We don't know when the payouts even start. Like, do you not get paid till you get top 16? I don't know.
You don't get paid until 2022. I assume anyway.
I mean,
that's probably true.
That does sound approximately accurate given what we have known so far.
Probably
Yes.
later than that. Yeah. Oh my God. Henneke, did you get your?
I haven't got the email yet.
Okay, so like a week, two or 3 weeks. I think it might have been 3 weeks ago. They were like, "Hey, we're gonna send out this email. It's gonna have this like link, and you put in your information to this thing. We finally got it figured out." And then the money's already in there. You just wire it straight to your account because we have all your information. And we're like,
we haven't got any emails
sick.
after that.
And that was like 3 weeks ago. And then
that was a week ago.
It was like, no, hold on. I think that was like 3 weeks ago, and he's like expected in a week. And then like 2 weeks go by, and they're like, okay, now it's all sent out. And I'm like,
yeah,
I haven't gotten this email. And I get no response for another week. And the response says, I just found out not all the emails are sent.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out for another email at some point. And I'm like,
I'm waiting.
I'll be here.
It's that 150 smackaroos.
That 150. Not for me, man. And got a little more than 150 waiting.
It's got a few 150-150s.
Yep, few 150-150s, but it'll come eventually. My family's like, "Hey, did you get that money yet?" And I'm like, "Nope." They're like, "Are you sure they're going to pay you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure." Eventually, get 150 per email. Yeah.
I think with that, I'm peacing on out.
All right. Yeah. I think that's about good for me. I don't really have anything else.
I gotta go hit some dingers.
Oh, that's right. You're heading out. I'm gonna be playing. Does anybody want to scrim?
I'm off. Later. Have a good night, guys.
See you guys. He's
Bye,
like, no,
everyone.
get wrecked.
Yeah.
I guess I could just play ladder. All by my little lonesome. Oh, he's gone. It's just frozen. That